Death is an inevitable reality, yet it remains one of the most profound sources of fear and anxiety for humankind. Throughout history, philosophers, theologians, and psychologists have attempted to understand why we fear death and what this fear signifies about human existence. Is it the unknown that unsettles us? Is it the fear of ceasing to exist? Or is it the potential suffering that comes with dying? This script will delve into the fear of death from multiple philosophical perspectives, exploring how different schools of thought have approached the issue and whether any of them provide a solution to overcoming this existential dread. Additionally, it will investigate the psychological, cultural, and scientific dimensions of death anxiety, offering a comprehensive analysis of its origins, implications, and potential resolutions. The fear of the unknown. One of the primary reasons people fear death is the uncertainty of what follows. The human mind struggles to grasp what non-existence entails. Some believe in an afterlife, others in reincarnation, while some accept death as the absolute end. The philosopher Epicurus argued that death should not be feared because when it arrives, we are no longer present to experience it. He famously stated, "Death is nothing to us, for when we exist, death is not, and when death exists, we are not." Despite Epicurus' logic, many still find the idea of non-existence unsettling. The concept of ceasing to be, of entering an eternal void, is difficult to comprehend. Many religious traditions attempt to soothe this fear by providing an afterlife narrative. Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and Buddhism each offer perspectives on what comes after death. However, for those who do not subscribe to religious beliefs, the lack of certainty remains a source of anxiety. This fear is not merely an abstract philosophical concern but one that influences daily decisions, behaviors, and how we perceive life's meaning. The human inclination towards seeking patterns and certainty makes it difficult to accept something as ambiguous as death. For many, the fear of the unknown extends beyond personal experience, influencing how societies construct moral and ethical frameworks around the concept of mortality. Existentialist perspectives on death. Existentialist philosophers such as Martin Heidegger and Jean-Paul Sartre viewed death as central to human existence. Heidegger, in his work Being and Time, argued that an awareness of death shapes our lives and gives them meaning. He introduced the concept of being toward death, which suggests that by confronting the reality of death, individuals can live more authentically. Rather than fearing death, he believed one should accept it as a fundamental aspect of existence and use it as motivation to lead a meaningful life. This acknowledgement of mortality forces individuals to reevaluate their choices, values, and actions, leading to a deeper engagement with life. Sartre, on the other hand, saw death as an absurd end. Because death terminates consciousness, he believed it robs life of any inherent meaning. This existential dilemma can lead to despair, but some existentialists, such as Albert Camus, suggested embracing the absurdity of death. Camus' philosophy of the absurd proposes that since life has no inherent meaning, individuals must create their own meaning and live fully without fear. This existentialist perspective forces us to question whether meaning is something inherent in the universe or a construct of the human mind, adding another layer of complexity to the discussion of death. Through literature, such as the myth of Sisyphus, Camus presents the idea that defying death's apparent finality through human resilience and purpose-driven living is the key to overcoming existential dread. Religious and spiritual views on death. Religious traditions offer explanations about death that can either ease or exacerbate the fear of it. Christianity and Islam present the idea of an eternal afterlife, where one's actions in life determine their fate in the hereafter. This belief provides comfort to many, though it also instills fear in those who worry about divine judgment and punishment. The moral framework that religions provide often shapes how individuals approach their mortality, influencing their actions and beliefs about what awaits them beyond death. Eastern philosophies, such as Hinduism and Buddhism, view death as part of a cycle. Hinduism's concept of samsara suggests that death is merely a transition to another life, dictated by karma. Buddhism teaches impermanence, anicca, encouraging acceptance of death as a natural process. By overcoming attachment to life, one can reduce suffering and attain enlightenment. These perspectives offer a radically different approach to mortality, one that prioritizes acceptance rather than avoidance or fear. The cyclical nature of life and death, emphasized in these traditions, fosters a different cultural response to mortality, often reducing fear and instead promoting preparation for the inevitable transition. The psychological and evolutionary basis of death anxiety beyond philosophy, psychology provides insight into why humans fear death. In his book The Denial of Death, Ernest Becker argued that much of human behavior stems from an unconscious fear of mortality. He suggested that culture, religion, and personal achievements serve as mechanisms to achieve symbolic immortality, helping individuals cope with their inevitable end. From an evolutionary standpoint, the fear of death is a survival mechanism. Avoiding danger and seeking safety ensured the continuation of the species. However, in modern society, where immediate threats are less frequent, this survival instinct has evolved into existential anxiety. As humans live longer and have greater control over their environments, the fear of death has transformed from a pragmatic survival tool into an existential burden, one that continues to shape the human psyche in profound ways. Modern psychology also explores the concept of terror management theory, which posits that humans develop cultural worldviews and self-esteem as buffers against the anxiety of death. The more individuals identify with enduring cultural symbols, the less paralyzing the fear of mortality becomes. Stoicism and the acceptance of death. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, believed that fear of death is irrational. They advocated for accepting death as a natural and inevitable process. The Stoic practice of memento mori, reminding oneself of mortality, was not intended to provoke fear but to inspire a life of virtue and purpose. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on death in his meditations, viewing it as a return to nature rather than a tragic end. By internalizing the idea that death is an integral part of the natural order, one can achieve a state of peace and wisdom, living each day without unnecessary fear.